Macchiato's bio.
We're going to.
So this is Macchiato. He and his siblings and his mother were in the shelter since December. So he essentially has been raised in the shelter. He and 2 other siblings are left from the litter of 8. Ready? Walk around. Go see everybody. So about 7 months old. He has been on an outing. You might have seen him featured on our Facebook page, and it said, "Are you a baseball mom looking for a loyal partner for the sidelines? Macchiato might just be your MVP. This adorable pup is ready to steal your heart. Macchiato has been neutered, vaccinated, microchipped, and now he's just waiting for a family to call his own." Our animal caretaker, Emily, recently took Macchiato out of the shelter for the very first time to a children's baseball game, and he was an absolute star. He lounged calmly in the grass like a perfect little gentleman, taking in all the excitement without a fuss. He was incredibly sweet and did well meeting kiddos of all ages. Macchiato has spent his whole life in the shelter, and we would love nothing more to see him finally experience the comfort of a real home. He's already learning to walk beautifully on a leash and continues to show what a gentle, relaxed, and loving companion he can be. This incredible pup would make a wonderful addition to any family. Come meet him during our open hours or apply to foster or adopt at clearlakeanimalassociation.org. Go pick somebody, go home.
Your family.
Okay. So I will move on to our statistics report. You should have that in front of you also, animal intakes. So from the last meeting to yesterday, total intakes, cats, dogs, some chicks and a cockatiel are 93. 5 born in care cats and 13 owner surrenders and 7 strays. So 25 cat totals for, since the last meeting. 28 or 63 dog totals. You can see 20 owner surrenders, 35 strays in. The chicks and the cockatiel were part of a humane case for inhumane conditions. No, almost got a cow, but maybe next time. And so then we'll move on to outcomes. So 44 total outcomes, 3 adoptions. We have a couple more pending for tomorrow. That'll be next time. 2 died in care, 14, 1 cat euthanasia and 14 dogs, so 15 total euthanasia. 1 returned to owner and 6 cats transferred out and 17 dogs transferred out for a total of 23. 44 animals transferred out. Yeah, other rescues. And then the next page just kind of shows you, what has come in and the dates and how many. And the subtypes, so found by public, red tag property, animal control pickup, CPD requested, impound, bite, bite holds. So you can just kind of see the variety of things we get in. Currently there's 86 animals in the shelter, 49 adult dogs and 18 puppies. Not happy about that. 13 adult cats and 5 kittens, which are neonate little bottle babies. Did you upset Macchiato?
Reflection off the.
We had a really busy day and I had some thoughts on other things I wanted to address and say, but again, it was really busy. I was late because we got a sick puppy, right as we were kind of closing. So I had to get that little guy settled before grabbing macchiato and heading over. So if you guys have any questions. Well, I mean, I think as well as,
Oh, fine.
I was just asking how day-to-day operations are going and
it-
shelter life.
yeah, I mean, to be expected, every day there's, new challenges. You just keeping up, when we're over capacity, the animals kind of lose out only because we're cleaning and feeding and then repeating, and there's not much time left for the enrichment that we want to do, the promotions that we want to do. We're having a volunteer orientation on Saturday, so hoping to ramp up that.
So you're looking to increase your volunteers. Did you say this Saturday you have a
We have an orientation for new volunteers.
volunteers, and then were you looking for employees too? Did I see that somewhere? Or would
No, not at this time.
Okay. How is your control part coming? Your animal control officers, could you tell us a little bit about
Okay.
about those?
Sure. You know what? We wrote 2 citations too also. I left.
Pardon
that out.
me?
We wrote 2 citations.
Did I?
2, no. Total. We have 2 animal control officers, 1 full-time and 1 part-time. She's also, our part-time animal control officer is also an RVT. So that helps us on the veterinary side, with the protocols in place with, from our vet of record, Dr. Bennett.
Okay.
So our full-time officer is still training, but coming along. Lots of calls. Today was super busy. I think he went on like 10 calls, aggressive dogs, following up on bites, roosters.
10 calls. Did you pick up dogs or?
No, well, actually, we did pick up 1. Yeah,
Okay.
and the puppy.
So tell us about the calls.
Most of them are loose dogs, acting aggressive. A lot of times we show up, they're gone, or we show up, we identify an owner, speak to them, give them a warning.
And a warning, and then next time, if that happens again, what happens?
We usually get a second warning and kind of we see what we can do to help keep the dogs contained. If it's just a fencing issue, offer resources for spay and neuter if that's the reason they're getting out. Lots of warnings, and then citation.
Well, you've written 2 citations.
Yeah.
You see that increasing?
Yes. We either write a citation or we impound the animal. We can't impound every stray,
you've
or, even every
Got
one
a pretty
animal.
full shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. 28 owner surrendered dogs. Do you ask like reasons why the surrender is? Do you see like a trend or anything?
Those are typically, sometimes the bite dogs also count as an owner surrender because they're not going to get them back.
Okay.
And then with the humane case, some of the seized animals were surrendered. Because right now we're not taking in owner surrenders like a typical, like, I have this litter of puppies I can't have anymore.
That's what I was picturing.
Yeah. We still try to help and, find resources, share them with other rescues or, give them resources to contact other rescues. But there are people that, being evicted, code enforcement violations, so they, have to surrender the dogs.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, more. It's the hard question here. I know there's 14 dogs and 1 cat have been euthanized.
Mhm.
What are the reasons for the euthanizations? How do you go about making that decision? And I know it's a hard decision.
It is, and it's hard to even, kind of talk about it, but I try to simplify it by saying what I always say is that we try to do the best for every animal with the space and resources that we have. Small shelter, inadequate budget, which I know we agreed to, you know what I mean? But that's the reality, you know, 14 dogs, where would they be right now if we tried to keep them all? You know, you can't. And so, you know, some of them were behavior. I think the cat was injured beyond repair. And a few were for space, you know.
That have been there a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
but to continue to help the public, we have a whiteboard in the office that we check just to kind of, you know, keep notes of properties that need help, you know, that we kind of want to help these people, but when we can, you know, and I counted before I came, and there's over 70 animals, dogs really, needing sheltering, from hoarding cases, evictions, code enforcement violations, feral and abandoned dogs. You know, I think Mr. Freeze is in the audience. I'm sure he's going to get up here. He's dealing with a neighbor with a hoarding case of 15 to 20 dogs. They're small, but you know, they're a nuisance. And we took one dog from the property. You know, but there's many of those.
Okay,
So
thanks, Charmaine.
you're
All
welcome.
right, any other more questions? If not, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we got to number 2, presentation by the Lake County Office of Education on positive community norms. I believe that Harley is gonna make some.
We have slides on Zoom. Can you see the Zoom? Should we get that or?
Not this time, it looks like it, 'cause that thing is,
Okay.
we're gonna wing it, wing it.
Well, I'm just going to leave our beautiful presentation that you are all missing out on right here, so we will enjoy it.
Well, good evening. I'm Brock Falkenberg, Lake County Superintendent of Schools, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to present tonight on an initiative to build a future based on our strengths and our assets. It's really a focus on positivity as we move forward here. All right. With me today is Chief Monfrance from Lake County Probation, Carly Swatoff from my office, and Anna Santana from the County Office of Education. That page.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well, I, for one, am thrilled to get behind an initiative where we focus on positivity and support through positivity. When I look around this county, I see a great deal of beauty. I see a great deal of skill. I see determination. I see resilience, potential, and a fantastic future. And we are hoping to leverage our assets as the foundation on which we can build from as we move forward. The concept of the positive community norms is an evidence-based program. It is focused on our strengths, focused on our assets over our deficits. And it is influential through peer influence or peer pressure. And if you look at the research, peer influence, peer pressure changes behavior and it changes outcomes. And we hope to exponentially leverage that ability to improve our processes, to grow, and to seek solutions.
The solution in reframing our reality is simple. First, we identify the gaps. And beginning this month, we have launched a community-wide survey meant to for all adults in Lake County to determine and identify some of the gaps in our perceptions. When we say gaps in our perceptions, we are looking at what we as individuals do versus what we believe everyone else does. Once we know what the gaps are, we plan to publicize the truth, to let the community know what the reality is, so that we can start believing in ourselves. And eventually, over time, this work has shown that behaviors will change to follow the new perceptions. It encourages individuals to align with the positive majority, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of health. Here is an maybe there it is. Here is an example of a positive community norm that came out of Wright County, Minnesota. A survey was given to middle and high school students, and the perception from the students that was most of their peers were using marijuana. But the survey showed, in fact, 4 out of 5 students never tried marijuana. This shows the change from scare tactic messaging to focusing on the positive, to showcasing the positive realities that we have in our communities.
So here locally, we are focusing on 2 really broad and important topics to all of us in our community. Our first focus is supporting our neighbors. So looking into how people in Lake County can help each other and stay involved in the community. We know that when there is a natural disaster or something takes place in Lake County, we come together, we are strong, and there are so many messages surrounding that. We want to highlight this in everyday life so that people can see the good that is already here. Our second piece is hope. And hope is the positive childhood experiences. We at Lake County Office of Education and so many partner agencies have spent the last decade talking about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. And we now know as a community how much that impacts our population. What we don't talk enough about is the buffer that can help these children as they grow into adults. And that buffer is the positive experiences that they have. So we are really working to shift the focus locally to look at that buffer so people can feel their own resilience and see the power that is here. We know that PCEs are active and all around us, but there is no local data to show that. So we are hoping to be able to capture this data and in turn highlight it to give that hope and that resilience to everyone in our community. So how does this look for community businesses, community agencies, and community citizens? There's really 3 prongs that this meets. When we look at Lake County thriving together, which is the vision that we know we all want, we look at mental health. We know mental health is important for people of all age ranges and everyone in the community. So being able to focus on the positives that are here will help increase our mental health and in fact then decrease the needs that people have, making things chronic treatment occur less and cheaper in the long run, right? The other piece is community trust. We want to shift from a deficit to the positive model. So building that community trust between peers, between citizens, and between agencies. The third piece is workforce growth. We know that in any successful community, we have to have a thriving and ready to go workforce. And so providing this buffer to the ACEs that are here really impacts our workforce. It helps with attendance, it helps with people's self-esteem, and it helps them as they turn into adults. So this, okay. I'm like, oh no, we're doing so good. So this is a common graphic that you will see on all of this. We placed flyers out on the front table, and this is the graphic that's really connecting all of this work. So this work stems from Lake County Office of Education and the Children's Council. The Children's Council is made up of many agencies, and of course, probation, who is such a strong partner. And we want everyone in the community to really feel and know that we as a community care, we connect, and we inspire. So we can all come together in this movement. What does it look like as a roadmap? So how are we going to get there? We've actually been planning for a few years with Montana Institute, but this is the roadmap that's the most relevant at the time. So when the spring, we really focused on the planning, spring of last year, sorry about that. We really focused on planning. And then in the fall, we had our first PCN community training. So we had different agencies represented and really talked about how the science of the messaging works. And that's an important piece because this isn't just a billboard that feels good. This is a nationally reproduced model that has been duplicated all over. Some states are actually mandating that this program is happening, and it really builds that community up. Then in the winter of this year, we started developing our survey, and last week we launched it. So that was very exciting. It is just launched. And so we will have it open in time for the April events. It is obviously open now. It'll stay open for a few months. And then in the summer, we will work on the analysis. And finally, in the fall, we are so excited to get to tell the community all of the great things that are already here.
So we welcome you to please share our survey, take the survey. It takes max 7 minutes, and it's really information that is going to really take us a step.
Thank you. Any questions? Appreciate your presentation. Thank you for doing that. I'm sure to.
Yeah, I think shifting the focus to the positive is really gonna be a huge like changing factor in our community, and I'm glad you guys are taking this role on that.
Well, I look forward to seeing the statistics in schools and seeing what the students say. So this is great.
Thanks. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much. And as Anna was presenting there, made me reflect on the fact that you guys have a pretty robust social media presence. Maybe it would be helpful if we could share this survey through your website as well.
So I'm sure we can make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to item number 3, presentation of public education and government television annual board report.
Mr. Mayor, there's been a request to postpone this until the next meeting. So.
Okay. All right. We go now to public comment, but before we start with public comment, I want to read a proclamation for Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, April 12th to April 18th, 2026. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurred, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Clearlake Police Department Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activity by radio, providing them with information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Clearlake Police Department have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year, it's therefore be resolved that the City Council of the City of Clearlake declares the week of April 12th through 18, 2026 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of Clearlake, in honor of the men and women who diligently and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Signed by me, the 16th date of April 2026. I believe you have somebody else going to come up.
I just have a few quick things to say real quick. Today, on behalf of the police department, I want to recognize the dedicated dispatchers that are often heard but rarely seen. These individuals are the calm voices on the other end of the line during some of life's most critical moments. They gather vital information, coordinate emergency responses, and provide reassurance to those in need, all while working under immense pressure. To our outstanding dispatchers at the Clearlake Police Department, thank you for your professionalism, resilience, and unwavering commitment. You are truly the first of the first responders, and your work makes a difference every single day. We appreciate everything you do to support our department and compete and keep our community safe.
Okay, it's now time for public comment. This is the time for any member of the public to address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss items brought forward under public comment. The council cannot act on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and the council cannot answer questions or provide comments while a citizen is giving their public comments. Once your comments are complete, the mayor may refer you to staff for follow-up. Okay, we have one here. Justine Beatty.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Justine Beatty. I'm asking you to consider lowering speed limits in Clearlake to 25 miles per hour on our city streets and 20 miles per hour in residential areas. First and foremost, about safety. Slower speeds saves lives. They give drivers more time to react and protect children, seniors, pedestrians, cyclists who share our streets. Lower speeds also help local businesses. When cars move slowly, people notice shops, restaurants, and parks. They're more likely to stop, park, and spend time and money here instead of just passing through. This change supports tourism and city pride. Clearlake should feel different from the highway. Slower streets tell visitors they've arrived at a destination, a place to enjoy the lake, the views, and the community. They help showcase our natural beauty rather than rushing past it. Finally, slower speeds mean less noise, calmer neighborhoods, and a more family-friendly city. They create streets where people feel comfortable walking, gathering, and living. Lowering our speed limits is a simple step that improves safety, strengthens our economy, and helps Clearlake become the welcoming destination it deserves to be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If I could just add a quick response to that. So there's a whole set of regulations in California about how speed limits are set. So if you have specific requests or recommendations for specific sections of streets, we could refer that to our traffic safety committee to take a look at.
Okay. And then what? How would I get that information?
I would suggest you just reach out to me, set up a time, and maybe the public works director and I can meet with you and talk about the options.
Thank you. Okay. Jennifer Isley.
I'm Dr. Jennifer Isley. I'm a veterinarian from Sonoma County, who for the last 10 years has been driving over the hill to do the high volume spay neuter project for SPC of Lake County. I was asked by Charmaine to observe and look at the dogs on day 2 after she had assumed control of the shelter. What I saw there was neglect. It was abuse. It was something that no one in animal care control should ever have allowed to happen on their watch. And I strongly feel that North Bay Animal Services should be prosecuted for their actions and their neglect. Going forward, it's obviously very important for this community that you support this shelter and the competent and responsible management that has assumed control, and also support high volume spay neuter services for this community as a way to address the rampant animal issues in the community. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment, Madam Clerk, on Zoom, or is there anybody here in the chamber that wants to address the council? Come on up, sir.
My name is Ralph Volpe. I've been a resident of Clearlake for 16 years. I live at on Liddell Avenue. About a year ago, last November, we had 3 cases of arson on our block, across from our home, and 2 next to our home. The 3rd case destroyed the entire property adjacent to us. Here we are 18 months later, and it is a disaster. It destroyed, of course, our common fence, destroyed part of our own property. But we have several feet of burned residue, burned down structures, and tons of uncontrolled weeds, garbage, etc., still there after all this time. Now, this is a fire abatement problem coming this summer, really bad, and it's a health issue. The people that had lived there before literally piled several feet deep worth of garbage everywhere on the property, in particular along the fence that between our 2 properties. Now, I would like to not look at that forever, and I want to put a new fence in, but I have to dig out several feet of garbage along the property line to even begin doing this. So I know this is not an unusual, I know there's other situations like this in the city. I'm just looking to find out if there's any status as to what might take place here. It's kind of hard to look out at that every day and to know that, or to feel like nothing is changing. So anyway, I thank you for your time. And I do want to reiterate one thing. The fire department was amazing in all 3 situations. They responded quickly, and that's the only reason we still have a home to live in. And we truly appreciate that. But what happens next? It is about time that someone take responsibility for removing this damage. And thank you.
Thank you.
Ralph, could you meet with Lieutenant Ryan Peterson in the lobby, please?
Thank you. Any other people here in the chamber that wants to come up for public comment? If not, is there anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There is a comment on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Would you please read that?
It comes from Becca Edwards. It states, "My name is Becca Edwards and I have volunteered and worked in animal welfare for the past 15 years. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. While I wish I could be there in person, I am joining via Zoom due to our surgery day at the shelter. In recent months, many of us in the animal welfare community have been directly involved in responding to the situation at the Clearlake Animal Shelter. The conditions that were uncovered had a significant impact, not only on the animals involved, but also on the responders, volunteers, and partner organizations who stepped in to assist. The experience has been difficult, and it is something we cannot easily set aside. I want to acknowledge the tremendous effort made by the Clearlake Animal Association, its volunteers, and numerous rescue and shelter partners who worked quickly to stabilize the situation and provide care for over 100 animals. Their response has required substantial time, resources, and emotional investment. As we move forward, one of the concerns I share with many in the rescue community is the lack of clear and consistent communication about the next steps. Transparency is critical not only for rebuilding trust, but for ensuring that the community and its partners can remain engaged in meaningful, productive ways. The removal of the Clearlake Animal Shelter crisis I lost my place. From recent meeting agendas has been discouraging to those who have been actively involved in the response. Continued public discussion is an important part of accountability and progress, and I encourage the city to keep this issue visible as solutions are developed. Looking ahead, I hope the city prioritizes a path forward that emphasizes collaboration, planning, and sustainable support for animal services. Many organizations that have transitioned away from previous service providers have had to increase funding to ensure appropriate care. If increasing the budget is not immediately feasible in Clearlake, there are still meaningful ways to support the success of current efforts. For example, strengthening coordination with local agencies such as the police department could help shift toward more proactive, community-based solutions, such as providing basic resources to pet owners in need, including food or containment support before situations escalate. I would also encourage thoughtful planning and coordination when animals are seized or transferred, ensuring that receiving organizations have the capacity and resources to provide appropriate care is critical to maintaining animal welfare standards and avoiding additional strain on already impacted systems. Ultimately, I believe we all share the same goal: to ensure that animals in this community are treated with care, dignity, and appropriate oversight. I respectfully ask that the city commit to transparent communication, continued public engagement, and a collaborative approach as you move forward. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to comment here? And is there anybody else on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no further comments on the Zoom.
Move to the consent calendar. Anybody want to pull any of these items? Anybody from the public wants to comment on the two items? If not, can I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay. We go to item.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Go to item number 6, discussion and consideration of establishing the Clearlake Reconnect and Recovery Support Initiative with Woodland Community College. Mr. Flora.
I'm just going to introduce President Navarrete, and she has a presentation for the council.
Good evening, Mayor Slutin, members of the City Council. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Lizette Navarrete, and I have the honor of serving as the president of Woodland Community College, which includes Lake County campus. Thank you very much. Lake County campus and a Calusa Center. I am joined today by incredible colleagues. First, you may see active in our community is Trustee Doug Harris. So thank you very much for everything that he does. And our incredible Dean of the Lake County campus, Dean Corey Ebenhack, is here as well. And we are extremely thankful of the partnership that we've had with the city of Clearlake. And I want to thank Mayor Slutin for your continued support over many, many years, and your city manager as well, along with many others. So I'm here today to talk about some new opportunities that we've seen, some continued growth that we have in terms of our learning and how we can more effectively serve students. And this proposal and consideration of Reconnect at Woodland Community College or Lake County campus. So Reconnect at at LCC. A little bit of as to why this concept And so across California, there are over 4 million Californians with some college, no degree. That number continues to rise, has risen 2.9% across the country post-pandemic. So what we know about this statistic is that there are individuals who want a college degree, have attempted a college degree, but something often finances becomes a challenge or the need for additional support. What we also know is that statistically, we are seeing that 6 in 10 adults are also saying that they do seek to have a degree. We know that that is also continues to be one of the greatest paths and opportunities for socioeconomic mobility across this community and those that we serve across the 3 counties that in Lake, Colusa, and Yolo. And then what we also find is that those adults that we are serving or that have some college no degree, about 55% of them are caretakers of children, dependents, elderly parents, or relatives. And so the financial constraints, the need for a college education that really is catered towards these demands of real life are ones that we need to be very intentional and think about. And so those are some of the pieces that are essentially driving our work and what we've learned. We've also learned that work is a necessity for adults, that many of them are working full-time, working part-time, while they're also students. And so again, that need for additional resources, for support, and that case management that is often so critical. And then unfortunately, though, because many of our higher education systems have been designed with this concept of a traditional student in mind, and Councilmember Wilson knows very well about this, there are often adults or our college students that are cut off of resources. One population that is prone to this are foster youth or former foster youth, where resources that often provided that guidance and support often end at age 24. That's also the age when, under federal definitions, individuals are considered independent, regardless of what their status may be. And so their financial aid, resource, and availability also becomes more limited. And so we've been working for many years now, or for a few years, with the city of Clearlake, and we want to thank you very much for your efforts around the Clearlake Promise. And what I want to share is that it has been the right focus, the focus on affordability, the focus on working collaboratively to establish a shared commitment to a college-going culture. What we've also found that investment has been underutilized, not because it wasn't the right focus on affordability or to promote collectively the opportunities that exist at Lake County campus, but because there were other state initiatives that had similar criteria. So the criteria that we had under the Clearlake Promise has been to focus on first-time, full-time students that were coming right out of high school. And what we also saw was that we have state-funded programs that had similar focus. So you have the California College Promise grant, which is state program that is income-based, and that provides free tuition, so fee waivers, tuition waivers for any student that has financial need. And then the second College Promise program that exists is for first-time, full-time students right out of high school. So that similarity in populations meant that most students that we are serving at Lake County campus fall under one of these two programs. So students are still going to college at a lower cost and having their tuition covered. That need is being met. So we're again very grateful that these programs exist. But it meant that there was an underutilization in the investment made by the city. So in some ways, a good problem to have. We are providing free tuition to most students. Roughly 83% of our students attend without having to pay any fees. And so we're very proud of that commitment to affordability. And so now we present a new opportunity. How do we leverage that investment, that joint partnership to build that college going culture, but to a population that doesn't have anybody that's focusing on them? And I would say that that population for us are adult learners, are working learners, particularly those that are 24 and over and have financial need, or maybe have been disappointed by higher education in the past. And so it requires us to think and reflect internally on how we better support this population, but also how we offer incentives to bring them back to a new experience. And so the proposal really is to leverage that initial investment in that partnership to focus on adults through incentive grants, targeted outreach to adults and working learners, particularly those with some college and no degree, that we focus again on that community need, and that we also think about the case management that we can provide at the campus. And so our proposal is we would launch collectively and jointly market the Reconnected LCC, an opportunity to bring back adults with some college, no degree, and provide them free tuition or an incentive grant of $300. That incentive grant gets them in the door to cover some of the initial startup costs of going back to college, books, supplies. But what's more important really is what happens once they arrive. So we want to work on collaborative promotion so that we have the support of the city, that we can say that this is a joint effort. So when they see marketing or flyers or invitations to the campus, they not only see the Lake County campus imprimatur, but they also see the seal of approval of the city and another trusted partner. And so that is powerful for our students. The other is we offer these types of courses called non-credit and building together non-credit that really helps with onboarding to return back, to refresh on study skills, refresh on success skills, to return to college, and how to navigate the experience in a new way, in a more with the caring commitment of our staff and faculty. And then the key piece that is extremely valuable is building on a club and a model that that we have that really needs capacity, and that's on case management. We have a club on campus, and I want to also thank the work of Councilmember Wilson, staff, students on the campus, that's called Recovery Scholars, and where we're helping students who have suffered with substance abuse or are really working to get their life on a different path through the opportunities at education. And that effort has been very successful. In our recent accreditation, it was one of the areas of commendation. And we want to scale that to be able to serve more individuals. And that support, staffing really helps us be able to do that so that we can offer other case resources, connect them to supports, and again, know what types of investments they need. We're also doing some broader campus-wide and college-wide efforts. So if this fall, we are fully launching a credit for prior learning initiative where we are looking at prior work experience and military service experience, and providing automatic credit for students that have that already, so that that can be added to their transcript in the corresponding courses where that belongs, so that we save new or prospective students time and money. Right. And so that's one key piece that we're launching across the entire campus for all of our students. The other is really rethinking our supports, where we are doing early assessments of all of our students when they start, to find out what various programs do they qualify for automatically. Can we qualify them for CalFresh, for food support? Can we qualify them for, foster programs? A program that we have called CalWorks that connects, parents, parenting students, and a number of other resources that we have on campus without them having to ask or go window to window to see what they do. That we would do that assessment early on for them. Navigational support, adding an additional part-time counselor at our Lake County campus so that we have more one-on-one resources there. And then again, hopefully a partnership like this where we are focusing on adults and working learners and those that want to come back and finish their degree. So with that, I just want to thank you again for your continued commitment to building a college-going culture, for the many years of partnership that we have. And want to thank you for considering this new evolution of that partnership in a way that could really support the nearly 4,000 individuals across Clearlake that have some college and no degree, and how do we get them back to fulfill that goal and dream. So happy to take any questions.
Mr. Mayor, could I add a little bit? Well, I really want to thank President Navarrete for the presentation, continued partnership. I think all of us would agree that the situation on campus is significantly different than it was a few years ago. And so it's great to be a partner. So the other thing I just wanted to add for the council is, we had a meeting about how we can kind of re-envision this, and they brought forward this idea. We shared that, at this time, we don't really have general fund dollars that we can put into a program like this as much as we would like to support it. And so that's why the sort of recovery substance use is threaded through that. We do have the proceeds from the opioid litigation that we were partnering with, that we've been sort of setting aside, and we haven't had a firm plan for what that was going to be used for. And so if the council likes this idea and this vision, we'd like for you to approve it and then give direction to me to negotiate a contract with Woodland that would allow us to use those funds to support this program.
How much are those funds that are in that set aside?
We have about $500,000 in the fund right now.
All right.
I'm curious, so is the Reconnect going to be replacing the Clearlake Promise?
Correct. We would essentially leverage instead the investment or the partnership to really focus on helping individuals return to college. I will say that the state program, so the College Promise that provides income-based free tuition, and the College Promise grant that provides free tuition to first-time, full-time students still exist. And we assess students when they're going through financial aid to see if they qualify for that. And so most students that we serve do qualify for one of those two programs.
Which is identical to what the Clearlake Promise provided.
Correct, yeah.
Or I'm just curious, or do you know those 5 individuals who were they awarded at the Lake County campus?
Correct. These were all Lake County campus attendees and Clearlake residents. So that was one of the criteria of the Clearlake Promise, that they needed to be a resident of the city of Clearlake. and also needed to meet the, right out of high school and attending full-time.
And just to clarify, they had to have graduated from Woodland High School, not a local high school.
No, does that say?
It does say
It said it
Woodland.
on the slide. It was,
I apologize.
That's okay. I was
they
like,
had,
that's why.
they had
that's-
a very similar program
Yeah.
at Woodland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good question.
correct. Thank you. Thank you. Great keen eye.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, just a continuation of that last question. And the total expected fiscal impact is 80,000 as it shows on here. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
that's what they're requesting right now.
You're requesting it? Okay. I have no more questions. I think it's a great program.
No, I don't have any questions, but I love this idea and it's a great way to give back to the community and, for those that are adults with young children and just kind of figuring out what the next step is. And so I think this is a great program and it will really help out in the future. So.
And so I want to be totally transparent. I talked with council before the meeting. I am an employee of Woodland Community College, but I am funded by a totally different grant and I oversee adult education. So I am allowed to vote on this.
Yeah, I have some comments. I think we started a promise program when Dr. Pimentel was still the president of Woodland College, and we've had some discussions with him, I had some discussions with him they were not always that amicable. But we did come up with this promise program. We started it and we had, it might not seem much that only 5 students took advantage of this, but that's better than none.
Yeah.
A lot better than none. So I'm very happy that we're tweaking this program to get more people to go to college and finish up their doing. I've been a long time supporter of the college, so I really like this.
If I may add, the one piece that is really hard to quantify is the number of students that potentially came back because they knew there was free tuition, right? And so while they may not have qualified for the Clearlake Promise and instead gotten free tuition through one of these other, that joint marketing, that joint commitment of seeing your city and your local college working together and telling you, yes, you can afford college. Yes, this is a great idea. Yes, you can do it, is really powerful. So we don't really know how many came through the doors because of that partnership that you established. This is just the number that were awarded. So I would imagine that many, many more lives were impacted through that work. And that's, I think, the same similar strength that working together can do, which why, it would be so powerful if, first thing we do for fall or summer registration is sent a joint letter that says, you can go back to college for free and you see the college logo and the city that these are trusted entities. And those are all pieces that so I do want to, I want to kind of just, again, share appreciation and share that the lives that have been impacted positively is much greater than what you see there.
And also the way we are able to connect the opioid settlement to this particular program, to me, sounds like perfect match. Thank you. Anybody else? Any more comments? Yes, no, maybe?
One more, I guess, just to tag on to that. Connecting this one more program with your other, I think, 2 that you showed up there together. Really, I like the idea of that. It is a true partnership that way. And I think it'll hopefully help a lot of our citizens and to get an education or to continue and finish their education. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from? If not, there was any public comment on this item? I was hoping somebody would show up. And I'll graduate.
I'm excited about this. Mr. Mayor, Council Member Bruno Sabatier from the city of Clearlake. So I am an alumni from Yuba College before it became Woodland. And I just want to express the number of folks that I have met who are turning their lives around on that campus. One of them, and I'll speak of specific names, and I'm sure they don't mind sharing their stories because they've shared it with the public as well. One of them was Nick Walker. Him and I went to college together at Yuba College. He became the finance director for the city of Lakeport and is now the financial director for, I believe, the city of Windsor. He came back from a very checkered past, making bad decisions, and came through the college and changed his life. I also know and became good friends with a gentleman named Richard Aquino, who had come out of San Quentin. And him and I became student body president and vice president together and made quite the friendship. Unfortunately, he slid back during that time that I got to know him. And I think that having a recovery staff member to help support and provide the resources or just an ear and advice and guidance can really help people who we know that in recovery slipping happens. And I think that there's a great opportunity here. Obviously, there's all these promise grant that already exist at the state level to help those that go to college. But I think the staff member is the important part that I think that I just want to make sure and highlight, because there's a lot of folks in our community who unfortunately have made bad decisions, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the opportunity. And I think by putting in these funds and great use of the opioid settlement and providing that mentorship, that guidance counselor, that staff person that can help people through. I do want to highlight a couple of things. Number one, I do want to repeat what the city manager said. I think with President Navarrete, with Trustee Harris, and with Dean Ebenhawk, I think we have a great team that is really supportive of what is happening. I can see it, I can feel it on the campus, even from the staff. It used to be a little dark over there, but I don't see it in the same way. So appreciate what they've done. And I know that once a year, we also have the Resilient Reentry event that happens annually at the campus, and that's done by our local probation. And it's just, the need is there, the amount of folks that are part of that festivity in the sense and celebrating what is available and what people have done. And I also want to mention Dustin Lawson. Dustin Lawson is also a student from Woodland Community College, helped create the Recovery Scholars. And the fact that they're being mentioned here in this presentation speaks to the potential for our students, no matter what their past looks like, what they can do here in our community and what they can do once they graduate and move on, which Dustin has done. So this is a great program. Love to hear it, love to see it. Thank you.
All right, anybody else from the audience? If not, do we have anybody on Zoom? Oh, good.
Take up much of the time. As a member of the Board of Trustees at the district, we're facing serious issues and concerns, but it's also important to recognize what we've done right. And what we've done right is put together a leadership team that is effective, professional, and doing a good job. So I appreciate the opportunity to bring this presentation before you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else in the chamber here? Anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no comments on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll bring it back to the council. Any more?
I'd like
Not
to make a motion, Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
to approve the establishment of the Clearlake Reconnect and Recovery Support Initiative and authorize the city manager to execute an agreement.
Can I get a second, please?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you for coming here today and presenting the program. Thank you. All right, we go now to a more mundane item. Street sweeper, I believe.
The street sweeper.
Mundane.
Big word.
I think our Public Works Department is actually pretty excited about this, but I'm going to turn it over to our Public Works Director to present this item.
So I get first dibs on a right. Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, the Public Works Department is requesting authorization to purchase a new street sweeper Routine sweeping is a critical component of roadway maintenance and environmental compliance, helping to reduce debris, sediment, and pollutants from entering our storm drain system as part of our NPDES permit. This purchase is essential for maintaining municipal stormwater compliance. It will improve air quality and ensure the cleanliness of city roadways. The cost for the street sweeper and necessary attachment is approximately $80,000. Council has previously approved a budget allocation for this equipment, and the procurement will be completed in accordance with the city's purchasing policy. We recommend that the council approve the purchase. And yes, our Public Works Department is very, very excited for this.
Okay, any questions?
If I could just add a couple things to what Director Leva had to share. We've been trying to figure this out for a little while. New street sweepers are quite expensive, several $100,000. And so we've been looking for a newer used one that meets California emissions requirements and so forth. And we think that we have found one, but I just wanted to make sure the council's aware. I mean, there has been some street sweeping that's happened. You know, we have a lot more paved streets than we did even a few years ago. And the city had negotiated that into the franchise agreement with Clearlake Waste Solutions. And so they do street sweeping of some streets, but the schedule has been somewhat irregular. And we think that it's kind of time for us to grow up as a city and have a little more regular schedule.
Okay. Any questions from staff?
I have a question. I know we're not bigger cities, but I know in bigger cities, they have street signs of certain times of the day where they can't park on the street. Are we going to be doing that at all in the neighborhoods?
Yes, we're going to come up with a street sweeping schedule, and we will place signage accordingly so that everybody will know exactly when we're coming and to move their cars.
Anybody else? If not, anybody in the public wants to comment on that? If not, anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no comments on the Zoom.
Okay, can I have a motion,
I
please?
just wanted to say if it becomes necessary, I plan to take all my Zoom meetings from the driver's seat of the
Street sweeper. Since you can't get a D11.
I think there's been a lot of the community and the public has been asking for something like this for a while. So thank you for looking into it and creating a budget so that we can have this for our streets in our community and making it safer and more presentable. So thank you.
All right, can I have a motion?
Oh, you're gonna let me?
Yeah, I am.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve and authorize the purchase of a street sweeper.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Vote in our portal. Okay, we'll go to. Next item is city manager and council report. Oh,
This is gotta tell them.
all right.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Right, city manager report.
I love the mayor's efficiency, but sometimes he's too efficient. Okay, a few items. I wanted to give a quick update on sewer spill. So as of today, 98 of the installations have been completed. 94 of them have been released. We have one that has some unique issues that has not been able to pass all the tests. So we're trying to work on that. But all of the systems were delivered this week, the extra ones. Today, Public Works Director and staff helped distribute all those. In addition, County OES put together a number of teams to deliver. The county decided to provide one additional UV bulb and 2 sets of pre-filters to each of the property owners. So those were all delivered today by a variety of folks, including some of our staff. So there's really 11 around these numbers were updated at the last minute. So around 10 final installs that are pending or in progress right now, but getting relatively close to having all the systems out and installed. I wanted to give a little bit of an update. I've talked a little bit before, we've had some delays on some of our environmental reviews because of our archaeologist was kind of inaccessible, but he's came back and we've made contact. Unfortunately, he had some very serious health issues. And actually had a portion of his leg amputated, but is recovering quite well. He did finish the report and is working on getting a prosthetic, and he's quite optimistic under the circumstances of being back and helping do his work. So there's been a bit of stuff in the news about some Blue Ribbon Committee projects for lake water lately. As you know, the LG Sonic buoy project has been in the works here along our shoreline for a number of years and has been pretty frustratingly slow. But today was one of the final deadlines for the federal environmental review. So as I understand from a few hours ago, there were no comments in the comment period. And so hopefully the county will be able to send in the request to release funds tomorrow. And hopefully shortly thereafter, we'll be able to see some installation of those units. Wanted to remind everyone that Clearlake Cleanup Day next Saturday, April 25th, here across the street, Austin Park. So this is not a free dump day event. This is an opportunity for you to come out and help clean up our community. And then I just had to throw a little plug in. I spent a fair amount of time last week. I was asked to participate with the Rotary Club on their scholarship review committee. So I spent half of Thursday and all of Friday with a few folks from Rotary interviewing students for the scholarship program. And I came away just stunned and impressed with the students that we have in our school system. It gives me a lot of hope for Clearlake's future. So that's my report.
All right. Councilman Hooten, anything?
I have nothing to report.
Hey, Councilwoman Wilson.
I met with PEG TV last week, Monday. I got there a little late because I was coming over from Woodland. They have done, they have this oral history project with a Circle of Native Minds that has significantly more time than that they'd like to put together into videos than they've got funding for. So they're going to look at some new grant applications. There's a new video project with that's going to start off at Lower Lake High School. They created a template. Let me back up. So the project is to start a video club on campus. They've created templates. They using some let's see, and they hope to have their first video project by June, and they're also pitching this to a couple other high schools. So the project at the Soparies to update their equipment is well underway. We're working with the Lake County Arts Council. And then PEG is a first choice of videographer to work with the Soparies. They're working on a fee schedule, certification of users, professional services for programs with PEG TV. There's no new news on the Kingdom Games podcast. And there's some, they need to have some hours for us to use. There's agreement with PEG TV to give to work with Kingdom Games to have some free time for a podcast. The PEG TV is working with the Lakeport City Hall to switch out their equipment. So far, there's been no progress, but they're working on pricing. And there was a discussion about standardizing equipment across venues. And also a discussion of making sure that the folks that work in the AV tech are given a living wage, and I think that's enough, all right?
Councilman Kramer.
We had, just in addition to the parts that we got, the two additional filters and a light. And we also got, or are gonna get a cooling fan for the light on the units for the for the sewer cleanup and clean water. Anyhow, moving on, Mayor Slutton and I attended APC LTA meeting last week. I think we had a report from NREN, excuse me. May have
Rural
some new,
Energy.
pardon me?
The rural.
Yeah. They have some new projects coming, or programs coming out that we'll be probably getting a little more information on. They're going forward. Also last week, Councilmember Hooten, City Manager Flora, and Public Works Director Labia and I had the third in a series of meetings on special districts, governance. We didn't make a lot of progress, I don't think, but I think each of us made our points, and we'll be going back to meet again next Monday. And that's all I have.
And Councilwoman Vice Mayor Downey.
So the only thing I really have to report last week, Mayor Slutton and I, we met with Damon Connolly. He's the current assembly member for the 12th district. And I guess he is running in replace of Mike McGuire. So it was just kind of very casual. We were just getting to know one another. He's a very nice man, and he loves Lake County. He loves it up here, so that's good. Told me he has to come visit more. And I'm sure he will. And he, the things that the mayor and I, we kind of addressed during that meeting about some of the concern areas. He also felt, as I felt like he felt like there are also concern areas. So hopefully we can develop a partnership, and he can help out the city, and yeah, and hopefully we'll see what happens in the future with the next election, but he's a good person. I like him. So, and that's just about it.
Okay, I also attended the APC meeting. The one thing that I stood out for is that one of the programs that they're looking at is the roundabout here at Lake Shore and Olympic. Public Works Director was there too, I believe. So that's really all I have. Anything else? Any new agenda items? If not, go ahead.
It's not an agenda item, but I would like to, since it's a new year and we're already, we're deep into it. So I think the traffic safety committee should probably get together again, just to kind of go over some things.
That's great. All right. Nothing else? We adjourn to closed session. We'll have a 5-minute break here.